It's time for the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. It's Motovation Supersport on a MotoAmerica Superbikes at Road America weekend, our third round of 9 for 2025 in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, from the famed Road America, as racers are getting ready for race number 1 action to get underway. And we are so excited to bring this race to you. Welcome everyone to the broadcast booth. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time national champ Jason Pridmore. Now, JP, here we are 1 year later, but Matthew Skoltz, PJ Jacobsen have definitely been at the top, but not like that today in qualifying.
Yeah, no, Ty Scott has brought that M4 XR Suzuki bike to the front, put it on pole position. When you look at the championship, though, it's still those two guys that everybody's chasing, and we've got a perfect day, beautiful day here at Road America. As you look here at Road Atlanta, this was that kind of wet to dry race that we had a couple rounds, the last round we were at. Jake Lewis and PJ Jacobsen here up at the front. It would be PJ Jacobsen narrowly beating Jake Lewis on the day. And that was a race that kind of sees that point gap that we have today, Greg. That was the one for PJ as he went on to win here. This was race number 2. As you can see, we had a lot of guys at the beginning, but it was Matthew Skoltz who would go ahead and take that number 1 plate and win that race at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, so this has now been a 2-year battle between PJ Jacobsen and Matthew Skoltz. And when you look at just Supersport, you have PJ sitting at 12 wins. You can see where he's got him 7, and then he's got the 1. And then, of course, Matthew Skoltz with his 11 wins, 9 of those last year. So pretty impressive when you look at these two racers, Jay, but it's also really important that the caliber of these riders, both of them former Superbike riders that are in this class, because it really is forcing this field to chase after them.
Yeah, they really do have set the standard of what Supersport, especially our next-gen rules, has become. And a guy like Ty Scott, Blake Davis, some of the younger guys, they've had to try to bridge that gap. We've seen Ty have some up and downs. This year so far, he's done a great job, and he got Suzuki their first pole position, which is amazing.
And, of course, this is only a couple of years into Supersport's next-generation rules, where we have a blend of machines from 750 inline 4s to 955 twins, 765 triples. But it is really interesting because when these bikes come to the line, this racetrack has created tremendously close racing. But let's get to the third member of our team, Hannah Lopa, who's down on the grid right now with our first racer.
Starting on the second row, Jake Lewis this weekend, coming off a great weekend last round. A different track, though. How do you attack this and keep that positive momentum going when things here are quite a bit different?
Yeah, this track is completely different than Road Atlanta. We started the weekend actually off on the back foot, but made a huge step this morning. And, you know, this track's all about getting a good qualifying position. Luckily, I'm here on the second row, but I think this is going to be one of the best Supersport races of the year so far. You know, I think we'll put on a hell of a show for the Wisconsin fans. You know, the draft is huge at this track, so just focus on not rushing into the turns and focus on my drives and staying in the draft, and looking forward to this one.
A familiar face in a team shirt down here with you. Jeremy McWilliams has been working with you this season. How's that been going?
Oh, it's been great. You know, I honestly was a little bit hesitant coming into the year because I didn't know Jeremy too well, but it's nice to have a rider with good feedback, and he understands every single change that we're going to make and what it's going to do to the bike. So it's a good guy to have in my corner for sure.
Best of luck out there, Jake. Guys.
Yeah, and you can't sleep on this guy, because if he can stay in that draft, the Altus Motorsports racer now on the Yamaha R9, he is super crafty, and he definitely understands a draft. Jason, take us through Road America, this awesome race course.
Well, you can see where the start line is there, Greg, through turn 1 and 3 and those big straights that connect this track. It's also important, Greg, that when you get down into turn 5, turn 10, or turn 8, you don't make mistakes getting drawn into that draft, even turn 1. So the carousel, turn 9 is going to be another crucial spot. Bike setup is very crucial there, because you want to try to get to that big, long right-hand corner the best you can, down to Canada corner in turn 12. And, Greg, out of turn 14, and that big run up that big, steep hill, you know, you heard Jake talking about it. It could be a bunch of guys at the lead group here. Who's going to position themselves in the right spot to get that win today?
Yeah, it's that 14 to the start-finish line that gives us some incredibly close race action. Well, the sun is shining, and we're ready to get this 11-lap race underway, so make sure you don't go anywhere, because when we come back, this guy, Blake Davis, number 22, he is looking for his first win and third podium of the season. Can he get it done?
Motovation Supersport is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. By NXT Bets. Play MotoAmerica for cash, multiple race classes live on top sportsbook and DFS platforms all season long. And by Motovation, the most trusted online resource for premium motorcycle parts and accessories delivered right to your door.
We're with you here on MotoAmerica Live Plus. Just before I went away to that commercial break, Roger, we saw a shot at Xavi Flores, the new crew chief for Blake Davis, out on the grid. The two of them having a last-minute conversation. We know that Xavi not only helping out with some of the calls on the setup of that motorcycle, but also just the coaching of Blake Davis. What are these last conversations between rider and team member like?
Just trying to let him remember and remind him the strategy, the plan that we have going into this race, what we want to accomplish, all the things that we talked about, and there's so much strategy that goes in here at Road America. So you got to really remember what your plan is. Are you going to be one of those riders who are trying to lead, or are you just going to stay in the draft and wait till the last lap? You're just reminding him what the plan is.
See Matthew Skoltz there on the grid looking up to the skies. Teams all clearing the grids right now. The visors go down in the mind of a rider. What do you think about on this final warm-up lap?
Well, right here is where the anxiety starts setting in, and you're just waiting for the start of the race because it goes away, and you're just thinking, do we start to question yourself a little bit? Are we ready for this race? Some riders are a little bit off or going to wonder if they're ready. Some guys are going to be so ready to go, they feel like they're going to smash the competition.
Like everyone was able to get underway. A couple of the riders here in this big pack for the warm-up lap got their hands out saying, listen, I'm not pushing it. Don't try to get around me.
There's some guys on this lap want to go ahead and start hitting their apexes and try to, that's why you see some of them go straight to the front. Other guys don't like to sit on the grid very long, so they kind of go slow here, let a lot of riders go, so when they get back to the grid, they're not sitting nearly as long.
All comes down to strategy. How do you play this 11 laps? We're going to watch along with you. We'll send it back over to Greg, Jason, and Hannah.
So the entire field of Motovation Supersport on their warm-up lap as we're getting ready to kick off race number 1 here, Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Under a windy but beautiful day. Let's take a look at the starting grid, Jay, because it was Ty Scott on his Vision Wheel M4X Star Suzuki that put this thing on pole with a 2:16.790.
And you can see the margin that he had, just barely over Matthew Skoltz, Blake Davis. Then you're going to have PJ Jacobson, Jake Lewis, and Kayla has been on fire this weekend. She told me yesterday, Greg, that it's the best that she has felt on a Friday in a couple of years, especially here at Road America. Cam Peterson, T. Cobbs, Corey Alexander, Max Mann, awesome job from Aiden Sneed today. Josh Hayes there, just outside row number 4. Headed a little bit further back, we're going to see Torrin Collins, David Anthony, and Larry Pegram. That's right, he's back. Love seeing Larry back. Enriquez Nassani and Owen Williams will be rounding out row number 6. Then we're going to go back a little further. We're going to see Schultes and Jansen with Kevin Horney, Monk, Oman, and DeLeon just off of row 8. And I believe, Greg, that's it. Nope, we got a couple more. Sorry.
Yeah,
Mandel, Mags, Bean, and Bittner are going to round out our field here in Supersport category today. And man, what a day we got for it. And Greg, I mean, I don't know if you've been in the infield at all. It is jam-packed here at Road America. So, you know, this is obviously a fan favorite. It's a rider favorite. It's my favorite place to come in the country, our favorite race of the series. And it's busy.
Hey, play MotoAmerica for cash. Superbike, Baggers, and Supersport series are now live on top sportbooks and DFS platforms. Scan the flow code or visit nxtbets.com/playma. See what's available in your location. Sign up, claim exclusive bonuses, and make your picks now. Yeah, Jay, what's interesting is that in Supersport, in Motovation Supersport, the track record was set 2:16.685 by Mesa back in 2023. That 2:16.790 was close, but what we have seen is track records falling all weekend long. Don't be surprised if now these riders get in draft and pass moves if we see this 2:16.685 fall, because when Mesa did it in 2023 in race number 2, that's the overall lap record for Motovation Supersport. So it wasn't even a qualifying time. So when you get in the draft and pass, speeds increase, and it's all about this turn number 5. What's going to happen when some of these newer riders get down into turn 5? Luckily for us, Scott Skoltz, Davis, PJ Lewis, all these top few rows, very experienced racers when it comes to Road America. All right, so the pace car pulls up. green flag waves. Upper left-hand part of your screen, you're going to see those red lights. When they go off, we're ready to get ripping. Revs are up. Here we go. Clutches are out. Turn number 1 awaits. Front row. Looks like, yeah, Ty Scott with a good launch. He leads this field down the hill into turn number 1. Looks like Kaliako way up the inside on the 19.
Man, she did a great job of getting herself into that spot. PJ didn't get the best launch, Greg, so he's going to be back 6th, 7th. You see those 2 yellow Rahal bikes back there a little bit further. You're going to have 3 R9s running 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and I believe 5th. So you got a GSX-R followed by 4 R9s and then 3 Ducatis. As I see the red leathers of Cam Peterson there smashed in between the Rahal bikes, and then Max Van also with a tremendous start. Look like Aiden Sneed behind him. So here's that first crucial run down into turn 5 where you got to be ultra careful. Blake Davis and Skultz on the Strack. Yamaha R9s go first to second, and it gets, oh man, Ty Scott comes into contact. It looks like, yeah, it looks like it's Blake Davis. So Blake and Ty Scott kind of got together on the exit of turn 5, it looked like. And you see PJ Jacobson, he makes a move up under, I believe it was Teague Hobbs. Teague Hobbs, again, he got a good start as well. So you see Josh Hayes there, a little bit further back. So for Ty Scott right now, he's out front. Then you've got, oh no, sorry,
No,
Matthew Skultz. Sorry, Matthew got out front. Then is Ty Scott, yes. Then is Ty Scott.
Yeah, that's what the field doesn't want to see. They do not want to see Strack Racing's number 1 get out front. You can see they're battling for position into the corner, Jay.
So Blake runs just a little wide. Matthew gets through clean. He's good. Blake gets out just a little bit wide. Ty's just getting himself off the corner. Ooh. And they just had contact there on the exit of turn 5. So that's such a shame for Blake.
Is
you'll
it
get a better
rear
chance
wheel?
Here.
Oh yeah, rear wheel into front wheel.
Yeah, Ty just kind of like ran, running his line off the edge of the turn. I don't think there was anything malicious there per se, but they'll have a look at that and see what they can do. But Matthew Skultz right now, he's kind of running away. As you see, Cam Peterson, he's got himself into 2nd with Ty Scott, PJ Jacobson in 4th, and then there's Kayla in 5th.
So Cam Peterson, the 45. On the Celtic, Economy Lube and Tire, Warhorse, HSBK Racing, Ducati, Panigale V2 has himself into 2nd spot. There is a gap, though, to the number 1 of Matthew Skultz, as Skultz comes across the stripe with about a half a second lead, and he's going to need, is Cameron Peterson, a little bit of help in the draft in order to close that gap as Skultz gets out of that final corner so well. Down into turn number 3 they go.
They've already drawn back into him ever so slightly, Greg. You're looking at a half-second gap when they came across the line, and that already looks like it's down ever so slightly. But right now, Cam's gotten through those first 2 turns so quickly. Ty Scott and PJ are just a little bit too far back to draft Cam. So Cam now can start to get that draft. And I did just see Blake Davis go through our shot here on the front straightaway. Cam now is drawn up to the back of Matthew Skultz. So again, this is where those big long straightaways play such a key part, and especially on new tires, Greg. If you've got a bike that's working really, really well, as it looks like Cam Peterson's Warhorse Ducati is, he was able to draw up onto the back of Matthew Skultz.
These 2 countrymen from South Africa getting after it. Really good friends are these 2, but Cam Peterson would like nothing more than to notch a victory on his Celtic Economy Lube and Tire Warhorse HSBK Racing.
Matthew kind of starting to stretch it back out, though. When you think, I mean, when you
in that sector,
yeah,
for
in
sure.
that sector, he just started to pull it back away. 33-1 to a. You see, Cam did 32-8 in the first sector, but in the second sector, Matthew gained those 2/10 back. So now we're deep into sector 3 here. And these 2 guys right now, Ty Scott and PJ, they can see that everybody's not getting too far away. And how about Kayla? She's doing everything she can to draw herself back up to the back of her teammate as she has broken away from that battle for 6. So Kayla has got her eyes forward, trying to get herself up into this lead battle.
So Cameron Peterson closes up in Canada corner, trying to put himself in a position to test his Ducati versus the Yamaha R9 in the draft. These motorcycles, new this season were the Yamahas. Talking with the technical staff from MotoAmerica, we talked about balancing as Jake Lewis on the Altus Motorsports machine now locked in a battle on his Yamaha.
Got the 2 BPR bikes right behind him, Greg. Teague Hobbs, teammate to Josh Hayes. Josh I didn't get a chance to speak with him, but obviously him qualifying 12th isn't exactly where he wanted to be. And Jake Lewis is just up the road in front of those 2 guys. they're going to be trying to do everything they can to get up to the back. As you see, Cam Peterson
goes to the lead.
No, he pulled up alongside. Didn't quite get there. 2:17.6 for Cam Peterson on that lap. Everybody at 2:17s for the two in front. P.J. Jacobson also at 2:17. Ty Scott 18 flat.
Now this track broken out into 4 sectors. And we know that last time by in sector number 2, which is what they're getting ready to work. They're in sector number 1 right now. Schultz had the fastest sector 2 time. Cameron Peterson had the fastest sector 3 time. So right now they're working sector number 1. That's going to be a split. And Cam goes up the inside on the brakes, looking through the corner down in turn 5. And there's a lead change. So Cameron Peterson off of the fastest lap of the race so far, 2:17.646, will take over the lead. And now Schultz has to think about his plan, but Cam Peterson was able to drag a couple other riders, Ty Scott, P.J. Jacobson, right behind him.
And man, I've got to stress it again. Kayla is in that spot where she's ahead of everybody else, and she can just see these guys. She can taste it right there in front of her, Greg, and this is going to be an important lap for Kayla. If these 4 just start to battle a little bit, you can expect to see the 19 of Kayla Yakov and get herself in this battle. And really good performance from her as the front 2 get away through that carousel over the next 2 guys, meaning Ty Scott and P.J. Jacobson.
Yeah, and in sector number 2, which is halfway between 4 and up to turn number 8, Yakov set the fastest sector split at a 32.1, trying to chase this group down. So Kayla Yakov extremely fast and trying to close that gap, but they're starting to break apart ever so slightly. Up the inside, nope. The number 1 had a look into Canada corner over the 45. Not going to get that one done. And keep in mind, this race, we still have about 8 laps and a couple of corners to go. Let's get to Hannah.
Ty Scott's pole position start this weekend is definitely an indication of the progress the team has been able to make. He said they haven't been able to quite figure out setup so far this season. And from yesterday to today, they flipped the bike upside down, dropped the front end significantly, and it's turning so much better. He feels like he finally has a setup that can win races. This is one of their best tracks every year, despite it not really being a favorite of his as well.
Great information, but Jason, you just pointed at the timing and scoring screen. Fastest lap of the race now goes to Kayla Yakov in 5th place, a 2:17.374. She was somewhere 0.3 to half a second quicker than the rest of the riders in front of her.
And pushing her own win, Greg, and I can't tell you, from a racer's perspective, when you're in the position she's in right now, it is so crucial that she hits all of her marks, gets all of her points correctly, because these 4 are working together at the front. And she has got to be pinpoint perfect for her to do that lap of a 17.3. Super impressive. And now you see PJ go up underneath Ty Scott. Cam is there with Schultz. And look what it does. The second those two just get up alongside of each other, Kayla draws a little bit closer, Greg. And now she is going to be able to get into that draft on the way down to Canada corner of Ty Scott. Ty falls back ever so slightly as PJ has now joined the battle at the front with Matthew Schultz and Cam Peterson.
So now it's on Yakov on the Rahal Ducati Moto with the Expel machine to get on the back of Ty Scott and then try to make some quick work as these front 3 are starting to eke away from the 70 on that Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki. So time is of the essence. Even though there's 7.5 laps to go, you can see that front group start to break away ever so slightly as we continue to look at sector times. And varying with these 5 riders, they keep setting their own personal best sector time. So there is no slowing down with 4.5 laps done and dusted in this Motovation Supersport race number 1 here at Road America.
Yeah, just looking here, Greg, trying to see where Ty Scott
Hold on, Jay, there goes the lead.
There we go. Matthew Schultz takes it back.
Yeah, we knew he was going to try that when he had a look at it last time by. Cameron Peterson left that door open. But as we get closer to the front straightaway, now we have a couple of Ducatis versus the Yamaha. Onto the front straightaway through this final corner. Now we're going to see who's got the good drive and the draft and pass. Up the hill they go.
And this will be the first time PJ is going to chance to draft past the 45 and the 1. He's in a good spot. Cam should drive right up onto the back of Matthew, which is also going to help PJ. As you see, he had to pull out of the draft. Matthew was on the right-hand side of the track there, so it made both riders behind have to pull out to the left. Looking at our screen here, Ty Scott lost a lot of his time in that second split, so we're going to have a look this next time through, or when they go through this next time, to see if he can try to make a little bit of a difference there. He's still on the back of them, so you'll see Matthews up against the wall on the right. So Cam's only got one direction to go, which now makes it double the length that PJ's got to get to pull out of the draft of both riders. And you can see that front tire get a little bit sideways on him there, as now PJ Jacobsen goes to the front. He wants to take a shot at leading through the infield section here of Road America as he gets it backed in to turn 5. See if the 15 can pull away at all.
And in that incident, too, you can see PJ chop the throttle to keep that bike under control. This is a 5-way rider battle, as Yakov still not able to make a move around Ty Scott, but Ty Scott getting closer as he lost some time in Sector 2 the lap before. So now PJ out front. The lap times have been 18s, with PJ doing a 17.6. So they've settled down about a half a second from where they were at their fastest. And by the way, only these top 5, Schultz, Peterson, PJ Jacobsen, Scott, and Yakov, have done 2:17s. And of course, Yakov still with the fast lap of the race at a 17.370 back on lap number 3.
Now we're legitimately going to have a 5-way battle, because Ty Scott is drawn up to the back of the 3 in front. He's still got a little gap. Greg, when they went into the chicane there, he was on the back. So I wonder if he made a small mistake in the middle of that chicane, as Cam Peterson now drafts back past his fellow Ducati rider, PJ Jacobsen, down into Canada corner. And so we've been able to see these 3 at the front really be able to draft each other. Matthew now, I want to see if that R9's got the legs to double draft these Ducatis coming down the front straight. The word kind of coming into this, when I talk to some teams in Ducati teams and Yamaha teams in Atlanta, is that the R9 gets off the corners a little bit better, and once the Ducati gets up to its 4th, 5th, 6th gears, it has the smallest margin of extra little bit of mile an hour. And that's kind of what it's proven to be. As you see Matthew Schultz, he's trying to get back into that draft of Cam Peterson as they come down into turn number 1. He's going to go up underneath both of them, Greg.
Wow.
The number 1 goes underneath both those guys in the braking zone at the end of the straightaway.
So good move from Matthew Schultz on the Track Racing Yamaha YZF R9 to regain the lead. Don't worry about that left part of your screen. If you're seeing that where left part of your screen on the pylon, it says pit for Ty Scott. He's not in the pits at all.
Right there.
He's right there on the racetrack. And it's because he's going so close to the wall, that transponder is being picked up by that pit marker. But back to the lead goes the 45 of Cam Peterson. Hannah.
You see a lot of trading places for the lead, and this is something that PJ Jacobsen has really put a lot of thought into ahead of this race. He said setup has been a bit of a struggle all weekend. They need to kind of get things going a little bit more quickly, make more progress faster, and everyone else is also getting more competitive. He was always anticipating a close group like this. What he wasn't anticipating was the Yamahas to be so incredibly quick here in comparison to his Ducati, and so he's really utilizing his many years of racecraft and of course some flat track experience with his knowledge of the draft. We'll have to see what he comes up with as the race progresses.
As of right now, if this was close to the end of the race, you would think that PJ's in a good spot, but it's got to be Schultz who doesn't want to have Cam P lead into the chicane, so Schultz takes the spot for the moment. Unusual pass at this part of the race, Jay, but maybe Schultz has got something cooking.
Matthew reminds me a lot of Josh Hayes in the sense that he loves to lead. He wants to lead. He's going to pester these guys all the time. This championship's got to go through the number 1, even though PJ Jacobsen right now is currently the points leader. Matthew's not going to just give up on anything this year, as we've seen him crash at Barber, pick the bike up, and still find his way back onto the podium in the rain, if you remember. So Matthew's going to continue to hassle these guys. He's the only one up at the front right now on an R9. We have 3 brands, Greg, battling for this top 5 with an R9, the Ducati obviously, and then the Suzuki at Ty Scott. So the balancing is there. Each one of these bikes, each one of the manufacturers have their strong points, and Matthews is definitely breaking into turns and accelerating. And as you can see, the Ducatis fan out here. Matthew gets back to 3rd, but watch as he gets down into turn 1. See if he gets underneath at least PJ. Yeah, he's just going to continue to be a nuisance to the 2 Ducatis in front of him. And Ty Scott and Kayla are just trying to hold on right now.
And nobody's on their back feet at all. Everybody in the top 5 back into the 217 bracket, 217 7s, 6s, and a 17.5. So the fastest rider on the track that lap, once again, the 19 of Kayla Yakov back there in 5th place.
She just hasn't been able to get that last little bit, has she, Greg, to get close enough to try to draft. As Cam Peterson, Matthew Schultz, PJ all go down into turn 5. You see the 4th and 5th place riders. They're right there right now. And then it seems like Ty loses a little bit in the middle of the chicane. So that might be that 3rd sector where we see that gap. Because right now he looks pretty solid where he's at. And obviously we saw him go 16.7 this morning. So we know he's got the pace. This time they kind of stay line astern all the way through this infield section. And then again, the crucial turn here, the carousel. If you watch Kayla's bike, it seemed like to me from one of the shots that we had just now, her bike runs out a little bit wider. It's harder for her to get the bike turned in the middle. So let's see how kind of she's out there and Ty's out there, and the other 3 keep it tighter.
Yeah.
And they pull away from them in the middle of the carousel. So the front 3, their bikes just look a little bit better. And you see Ty Scott get a little out of shape, didn't you?
He certainly did, yeah. Something with the front, and Kayla looked like she was going to get a run on him, but had to check up for the moment. So that's created a bit of a gap again.
So Ty has got a little bit of issues getting down through the carousel. So his team are going to be watching that with the hopes of trying to help fix that a little bit tomorrow, and also getting him through that chicane. Everywhere else, it looks like the Suzuki is doing great. So Kayla's just got to get a little bit closer right now to Ty before they come on this front straightaway. Still about 4 1/4 laps to go.
So 2 bikes. The yellow ones are the Ray Hall Ducati Moto with Expel machines based out of Indianapolis, Indiana. And of course, you have the red bike. That's a Celtic Economy Loop Plus Tire Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati of Cameron Peterson. That blue bike, Strack Racing Yamaha R9. And then, of course, you have the black and red of the number 70 machine, Ty Scott on the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki. Hannah.
You guys, with the draft being as crucial to the race finishes as it is here for Cameron Peterson, I talked to the team. They said it was so important to get him comfortable on the brakes, and it's been the most comfortable he's been all season on the brakes, just being able to wait a hair longer than your competitors breaking into the corners. He's getting into turn 1, turn 5, turn 8 really, really well, and that has made all the difference here for him this weekend.
I'll tell you, the other thing, Hannah, is Cam's getting a tremendous run out of turn 3. He passed Matthew before the bridge, and you know, when we keep talking about how the R9, look, I don't think the advantage is hardly anything anyways, but the R9 does jump off the corners.
Oh.
This Ducati, you see Matthew make a small mistake there and run wide out of turn 6. That's going to allow PJ by. But Cam Peterson down through turn 3 that lap, Greg, was so fast out of there. He passed him before the bridge, and you see Kayla now just starting to lose contact with these front 4 ever so slightly as Cam Peterson now is starting to try to pull away.
He certainly is, and last time by 2:17.4 and some change for all 4 riders. Kayla had done a 2:17.7, so she lost 0.3 of a second by the time they got to the stripe, and now starting to lose a little bit more. So we'll see if she's able to regroup and rejoin these top 4, but it's not looking good with 3.5 laps to go. What is looking good is Cameron Peterson, but we know that PJ Jacobson, Skoltz lost some position based on a little front end issue that he had into the corner. Max Van, the 48, into the gravel trap on his Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki. Before the bridge, he was out of 10th place, was Max Van. He was having a really good run in the top 10.
Looked like turn 8, I think, Greg, maybe that he went down at. So
turn 8.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. So front 4 now just kind of getting away, but Kayla's going to have learned a lot from this race. She's going to be very positive and take a lot away. That team's going to do whatever they can to make there it is, turn 8. So probably just got in there on the brakes a little bit too much, and we don't see Max do that very often. He's been having a pretty solid year this year, has that young man, so it's a shame to see, but he'll be back tomorrow. But you can see Ty Scott's bike is good, but it's good in just the wrong places.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what it seems like. It seems like it's a lot of work for him to kind of stay in there. And but we know Ty's got a lot of racecraft as PJ Jacobson goes back to the front.
He goes back to the front on the fastest lap of the race, a 2:17.178. So things are starting to heat up. It's settled down for a couple laps. They went from 18s to the mid-17s, and now 17.178. Cameron Peterson did a 2:17.1, but it was a 9.7. So just a couple hundredths of a second off was Cam Peterson as he goes back to the lead. And Jay, with the experience of all 4 of these riders, is it just one rehearsal after another as it looks like
Ty
the
Scott
70 going up the inside? So Ty Scott gets a good run and deep on the brakes down the hill into turn number 5. He'll take over 3rd for the moment.
You think he's been back there just kind of playing a little bit coy?
Maybe,
we're gonna see. We'll see if I tell you right now, if the number 1 starts to see those 2 creeping away a little bit more than they are now, I mean, I expect Matthew to try to do something with Ty, probably going down into the chicane. And let's see how Ty gets through the carousel this lap. See if he can keep the same pace with those Ducatis in front, as they seem to be able to just keep it tighter. Ty's really tight this time all the way through, so Spike looked a little bit better, but see, Greg, they're still
right there, right?
They're still yarding him just a little bit in the middle of the turn.
Yeah, but we know Ty's good here in the first year of our balanced machines in Motovation Supersport, the next-gen bikes. His first win in the class of next-gen was here at Road America. A little bit of wheel spin, though, coming out of the number 70. So, leading the way now, we got a pair of Ducatis, a Suzuki and a Yamaha, and then just off of the back, and still just lost that fastest lap of the race, was Kayla Yakov. That was done by PJ Jacobson, lap number 8 with his 2:17.178. So we're getting close to 2 laps to go in this one, Jay. And we wouldn't be surprised if we see that lap time drop into the 16s.
Yeah, I was going to ask you just now when you pointed out that 17.1. It's 4/10 off of our pole. But yeah, you might see it on the last lap of the race. For Matthew Skoltz, I think that he purposely didn't try to go by Ty so that he could get pulled down these big, long Road America straightaways. As you can see, he's trying his best. Ty Scott is going to draft through on PJ Jacobson as they go down into turn 1. PJ lets off the brakes, but yep, Ty Scott's able to do it. So Ty, right now, has ran a really good race and just sat back there in 4th at a 2:17.137 again for Ty Scott. So back, fast lap again. Look at that little gap though. And see how good Cam gets out of turn 3 right there? It just pulls those guys ever so slightly.
It might be a sitting duck here for the 70 going down into turn 5. Now Ty Scott with the fastest lap of the race at that 2:17.137 like Jason mentioned. There goes the 15. Just trying to tighten his line up a little bit, not let the number 1 get an advantage. So just about a lap and a half to go in Motovation Supersport race number 1 here. Everybody on Dunlop tires. If you're new to MotoAmerica, Dunlop tires is the spec tire. So in terms of this race, one of the advantages we have in top speed is the reduction of fuel over the course of these laps. And we expect to see, as we are in sector number 2, 3 of the top 4 set their personal best sector 2 splits. So things are starting to ramp up. If you're wondering about the top speed, when Ty Scott came across the line and set the fastest lap of the race so far, 164 miles per hour at our trap, which is just past start finish line.
Matthew goes up underneath PJ Jacobson there in the chicane, and you got to think about it. Matthew knows that that's the guy leading the championship. That's the guy he battled with all last season. So now he's in the draft to Ty Scott. PJ has a look over his shoulder and sees that his teammate's still back there. Kayla's back there. She's battling on, Greg. She's still in the 17s, by the way. 17.7. These guys in front of her, just some half second or a little bit more in front of her, but
you have to think about how much work she had to do to catch him. It's like once you're in the draft here at Road America, it's easier to do these 2:17s than when you're pushing your own air.
Blake Davis right now is in 20th doing 2:17s.
Yeah.
So he would be a guy tomorrow that we're also going to see in this battle, right? So for Kayla, there's going to be probably 6 at the front that have proven that they can do 2:17s come tomorrow. White flag is coming out. What a great shot as they come up this hill. Coming to the white flag. It's going to be Cam P, Ty Scott, Skoltz, and Jacobson. Matthew looks back about 3/4 of the way down just to see make sure PJ's there.
So Matthew Skoltz was the fastest rider of these top 4 on that lap. A 2:17.2, a 3 for Ty Scott, a 0.4 for Cameron Peterson. But Cameron Peterson's looking really good. If that was a dress rehearsal, Jason.
I was just going to say the same. He's led down these straightaways now, Greg, for a couple of laps. Let's see if anybody can do anything, as Ty Scott's going to be in the draft and do something with him when they get down to turn 5. Cam probably could have moved over to the left a little bit earlier there as Ty Scott goes through, and now you got the battle for 3rd between PJ.
Oh, no!
Cam P makes a small mistake. I didn't see contact. Was there contact there, Greg?
It looked like something happened because it looked like Ty Scott ran off the racetrack, so there might have been a little bit of contact between those two. And all of a sudden, the door opens up for the 15 of PJ Jacobson.
Again, it's those same 2, isn't it? Up at the front. PJ Jacobson and Skoltz, and you can see that there was definitely contact because the exhaust of Ty Scott's bike is hanging out to the right. This is going to move Kayla up to 4th. Look at Ty Scott's exhaust. Yeah, it's hanging off to the right, Greg.
Yeah, that M4 exhaust pushed out just a little bit.
I was looking at the battle for 3rd and 4th, and then it turned quickly into the battle for 1st and 2nd. Matthew Skoltz will definitely try to do something to PJ to slow him down here in the chicane. Let's see if the number 1 darts out to the left and tries to make a pass.
Here comes Skoltz up the inside of the chicane. He gets the pass made, but in the grass he goes. So just like that, as he's trying to get on the racetrack, and Ty Scott has to take evasive action. So Ty Scott trying to accelerate around, and of course Skoltz trying to figure out what gear he needed to be in. So all of a sudden like that, a close race leaves P.J. Jacobsen all alone. He might know from not hearing any sound behind him, but here we go, Ty Scott.
He will have seen the incident between Cam Peterson and Ty Scott, so he knows they had probably fallen back, and he's going to know that Matthew went across the grass. PJ's going to just try to get this thing out of that last corner and get in that tuck, as Ty Scott is still going to have a battle on his hands for that second spot.
So P.J. Jacobsen already on the straightaway, powering towards the line, looks behind him, and he sees nobody's there to contest this win. So he'll go to the stripe and take victory. Here he comes to 15. He takes the win, and the battle for second will go to Ty Scott over Matthew Skoltz. And then Kayla Yakov comes home in fourth. And look at this battle.
Look at this mess. It's Jake Lewis, Teague Hobbs, Torrin Collins, Dave Anthony, Josh Hayes, and Aiden Sneed on the MV Augusta as they come across. It's going to be Teague Hobbs finishing sixth. Lewis, Collins, Anthony, Josh Hayes, and Aiden Sneed. What a battle that must have been.
0.19 of a second, 1900ths of a second separated those riders when they came to the line. Boy, tip of a cap to Aiden Sneed in 11th place back there. That's his best ride in his Supersport. All right, here's a look at what the incident on the last lap.
Yeah, so I was just looking. Let's see. Oh, he ran his hand into him. It looked like he ran his hand into the exhaust. We'll have to have another look at that. But that's what it looked like. And then at this point now, these two probably know they're on their own. I knew Matthew would take a shot. He just couldn't get it quite slowed down enough, Greg. He goes over the grass. Keep in mind, it rained so hard here yesterday, that grass is going to be a little bit wet on slicks. Yeah. Matthew does a really nice job of just getting it through there. Ty Scott then retakes second place. All right, let's have a look, Greg. Is it his hand or is it his elbow that touches the exhaust?
You're probably right.
I don't know. We'll see. Let's look. Yeah,
it's
his hand. His hand.
It's his hand, yeah.
And I mean, it's just millimeters, you know? And
look, it's the clutch. It's the clutch hand, but
correct.
Good thing we have protective levers that are on both the clutch and the brake. So, wow, that was really close and good heads up. And Cameron Peterson does come home in 5th place, so he'll get those 11 points. But it's got to be P.J. Jacobsen, as you can see his lap progression, also with the second fastest lap of the race at a 2:17.1 for P.J. Jacobsen. All right, we're going to talk to P.J. about how this race went for him, especially his plan to run to the flag. Stay with us.
We are staying with you here live on MotoAmerica Live Plus. Roger Hayden, as we watched, I could say just the final lap, but let's say the final 2 laps of that race. How do you dissect what unfolded?
Well, I think it's just hard. You just tell everybody knew where they wanted to be, and they were fighting to find those spots. And each rider, they started getting a little bit more aggressive, a couple passes and different spots. At that point of the race, everybody knew what they had as far as concerned run out of the last corner in the draft. So you could just see everybody was trying to position themselves. There was a little give and take early on in that race, but as that race winded down, everybody knew what spot they wanted to be in.
We had that front pack of 4 riders going into the last lap that were all right there, nose to tail together. Kayla Yakov was at the back end of it. That was until that final lap and everything that unfolded with Cam Peterson, Tyler Scott, now Kayla Yakov being able to finish inside of the top 4. But there was a little bit of a gap there. And if you look at timing and scoring, it's still 17 seconds separating 5th from 6th of Teague Hobbs. What needs to happen overnight to close it?
That's a big gap, even here at a long track like that. It's going to be hard to close 17 seconds. You just got to try to learn something and try to close it down and moving forward and beat that pack that these riders was in. PJ today, he was just patient. He was off the group early on a little bit and just got up there and he just kind of rode around and put himself in that right spot. That's the big thing here at Road America as this race winds down with drafting, putting yourself where you need to be.
Riders making mistakes there at the end that we don't typically see in that position. Do you think that's just a testament to the level of competition here?
Yeah, I think it's just the level when you see Cam Peterson there walking off.
Motovation Supersport is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. By NXT Bets. Play MotoAmerica for cash, multiple race classes live on top sportsbook and DFS platforms all season long. And by Motovation, the most trusted online resource for premium motorcycle parts and accessories delivered right to your door.
Welcome back, Motovation Supersport race number 1. It wasn't necessarily on paper the close finish that we normally see here because the last lap was a bit of a ruckus, but P.J. Jacobsen, great job leading this one. Keeps himself out of harm's way. Ty Scott and Matthew Skoltz, your podium. Kayla Yakov right there. Oh, she only stayed a little bit closer. She might have had a podium to take advantage of it. Cameron Peterson with a big recovery in 5th place over Teague Hobbs, Jake Lewis, Collins, David Anthony, Josh Hayes, and of course just off this list is Aiden Sneed. They were locked in an incredible battle all the way to the line that we got to see at the end, thanks to our outstanding direction. But yeah, so that's Motovation Supersport race number 1, which means that Hannah is down in victory lane right now to talk to our race winner.
A really impressive ride by P.J. Jacobsen, and quite the battle, trading passes there at the front all race throughout. You know, PJ told me earlier he wasn't feeling like the setup was quite perfect. How were you able to ride around that for this victory?
Yeah, in the race it was kind of difficult, honestly. I think, Cam and Tyler kind of had that little bit of edge. And then, I kind of got into like a more worried mode with Schultz, So I was just kind of like happy to be right there. And then, all this like carnage happened at the end. So it's like, it's how racing goes sometimes and stuff. But we definitely got some things to work on tonight. That I just was struggling with a bit in the race.
Congratulations to P.J. Jacobsen, today's race winner, guys.
Yeah, Jay, that was really impressive ride. I mean, PJ had to come from a little ways away, and he was able to really put his plan together. But you got to be thinking about what was going to happen on that last lap, and it all worked in his favor. All right, let's get down to Hannah, who has our 2nd place finisher.
Well, it was definitely an eventful end to the race for Ty Scott. Ty, you seemed like you were hanging out there for a little bit. Was this a strategy of patience for you? Take us through your thoughts.
Yeah, I feel like I had really good pace on the bike, and I didn't feel really necessary to lead all throughout the race. And going into the last lap, I felt really good with the setup. We actually turned a lot of stuff around this weekend. The whole Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki team did a great job. We flipped the bike upside down going into Q2 today. Was able to put it on the pole.
Wisconsin is known as the America's.
Confidence in the bike to be able to push, and I felt great all throughout the race, and going into the last lap, I thought maybe I could pass Peterson down in turn 5 and lead the race, and got by him and went to dip into the corner, and he smashed back into me. Ran a little bit wide. I had no rear brake left, and then going up the hill, Schultz clipped my handlebar, broke the clutch, and tipping in turn 6, went to drive to the apex with the rear brake and ran a little bit wide, and kind of had a little bit of luck when him and PJ ran wide in the chicane. But overall, awesome job from the team, and the bike worked amazing.
Congrats, Ty. Thanks, guys.
That was a lot more of a ruckus for him than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, a lot going on the last lap, did Ty, and he really didn't do anything wrong, obviously. And, when you're battling that close at the front, sometimes you can make a little bit of contact. That's what Cam did on accident down in turn 5. Let's get back down to Hannah.
Battle all race long for Matthew Skoltz, trading passes there back and forth quite a bit. Take us through the last lap from your perspective. What was your experience?
I was sitting in 4th place, and I just saw something happen with Cam and Tyler. I think they touched, something happened there. Cam ran off, Tyler ran out wide. I managed to kind of squeeze in just in front of Tyler. We made a little bit of contact, and PJ had a few bike lengths on me, so I just tried to work hard to catch up to him. And the carousel, this R9 is hooking up great, so I closed up a few bike lengths there, tried to make a pass into the chicane. And PJ, he blocked the line, which he should have, and, kind of pinched me, and I almost tucked to the front, and I had to run through the grass, and unfortunately Tyler passed me there. And yeah, I mean, just brought it home in 3rd place. Not what we want, but overall happy. The track racing boys have been working hard and just trying to see if we can do something better for the 2nd race.
Great job keeping it upright until the end there, guys.
Yeah, great job keeping it upright. And Jay, you know what?
Thank you, Hunter.
You've done this plenty of times in your career. This is one of those races for Matthew. If he didn't take the shot when he had it, like he would have been thinking about it. So you got to take the shot.
He's going to take the shot no matter what. We know Matthew's going to do that. And, you know, like he said, that R9 was really hooked up nicely going through the carousel, and it allowed him the opportunity to get up along PJ. But PJ was in there deep. So for Matthew to make that pass, he had to go in there deeper. He just made a small mistake. Nothing big.
All right, we're going to step away. When we come back to Motovation Supersport here at Road America, our coverage will continue. So don't go anywhere.
We're with you on MotoAmerica Live Plus as the podium celebration continuing here for Motovation Supersport. Interesting comments there, Roger Hayden. Let's particularly talk about Tyler Scott. He said he burnt through that rear brake. What can be done for tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened. I don't know if maybe it had an issue with it mechanically or what, but for him, the rear brake, and even coming from flat track, that's going to be something Tyler Scott's going to use a lot more than I think some of the other riders. So not sure if there was a mechanically issue there, but whatever it is, you know, he's going to try to get it sorted out tomorrow, because some of those corners where he was talking about where he was running wide, like the chicane, you like to use a little bit of rear brake through there, and if you don't have it, it's going to make it tough.
Matthew Skoltz also giving props to PJ Jacobsen for using every bit of the racetrack he needed to be able to get the advantage and end up on the top step of the podium. A little bit of strategy maybe that needs to be worked on for tomorrow.
For PJ, he seemed a little disappointed for that, you know, be able to win that race like that. Seemed a little down there in the interview. You got some things that it's pretty wild. These guys win a race and they're already thinking about tomorrow and how to improve. Tyler Scott, his race, it looked like he was just being patient. He didn't want to lead, like he said. He was just sitting there in fourth, waiting until the race winded down, and then when there was 2 laps to go, Tyler started making his moves and got right where he wanted to be. But unfortunately for him, Cam Peterson got in the back of him down into turn 5.
Talking about Cam Peterson, we did see him leave the celebration area of the racetrack holding on to that left hand. So hoping that he's able to be fit and ready for racing again tomorrow. We'll step away. Here's Greg, Jason, and Hannah.
Podium celebrations for PJ Jacobsen after his 13th Motovation Supersport race win of his career. And now he's got 2 on Matthew Skoltz. If you watch the top of the show, you know what we're talking about. But this is how the race unfolded. Jason Pridmore.
Where do we start? You see early, Blake Davis is in second place. That's going to end when they get down to the end of this straightaway, because there's going to be a little bit of contact just right about now between Ty Scott and Blake Davis. Thank goodness Blake's momentum pushed him to the right so the rest of the field could get through there safely. Just see up in the front, Matthew Skoltz gets that little gap. Then Cam Peterson chases him down, brings Ty Scott and PJ Jacobsen with him, and you see Kayla Yakov back there just behind. She's doing her best to try to get up to the front, but the 3 at the front then started to battle with each other. Everybody led this race, Greg, and it was over and over, this accordion effect down these big, long straightaways here at Road America. Cam Peterson this time alongside PJ Jacobsen. She Ty Scott starts to make his move with about 4 laps to go, goes under Matthew Skoltz, gets past PJ Jacobsen, but it was his last lap. Crazy battle. Ooh. Cam Peterson runs into the exhaust. Matthew Skoltz runs off the racetrack. The 15 of PJ Jacobsen is now running, and then these two would battle all the way to the line for that podium spot for second and third. PJ wins, Ty Scott second, Skoltz third. Kayla Yakov, Greg, with I think arguably maybe the best ride I've seen out of her in her career. Now she's got to see what the pace is like at the front. She's going to go to bed tonight full of confidence. Hopefully her team can help her bridge that gap a little bit more, and she'll be there tomorrow.
And also we're going to talk about Blake Davis on the other side of this, so don't go anywhere.
All-day coverage continuing here on MotoAmerica Live Plus. You see the fans lining the fences here at Road America, this iconic 4-mile facility celebrating its 70th anniversary of racing. AMA bikes have been coming here since 1980. So much history Roger Hayden, you see the fans that are out here. We've heard a couple of riders reference it today. They've just never seen a crowd quite like this here for this racing weekend. Go back to when you were aboard the bike. What do the fans mean to you at each venue?
It's huge. When you ride around, you hear all the riders talking about it, and they thank the fans. They know it's so important for this series, and for this track to be packed is even more special because it's 4 miles long. It's not like it's a really small track that's got it packed, but all the riders see them waving to the fans. They see them in there cheering. We've seen a lot of fans with sponsoring the riders' flags and wearing their hats and the shirts. The riders are selling merch in the paddock. So the fans is a huge part, and that's what makes this sport go.
See the fans waving to our drone camera up high in the skies, giving us these beautiful shots with just a great day of racing here. We've had 3 races so far. We still have 3 to go here this afternoon. We still have Superbikes, as well as Mission King of the Baggers, and then Royal Enfield Build Train Race. The ladies will wrap up our day of coverage here on MotoAmerica Live Plus as the fans continuing to pour into the circuit.
The fans have seen some good races so far, too. They're getting their money's worth.
Through the first 3 races, the average margin of victory, only 1.1 seconds. As it's been so close coming up the hill. We're going to step away, continue to watch along with you here on MotoAmerica Live Plus. But here's Greg, Jason, and Hannah.
Welcome back to Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. The sun is still shining, the wind is still blowing, and Motovation Supersport race number 1 is in the books. And JP talked a little bit just before the break. Blake Davis ends up 18th place. He does his fastest lap of the race on the last lap, and we're going to talk more about that, the impact of what that's going to have tomorrow. But let's take a look at the impact of how this race has played out with the championship standings, because P.J. Jacobsen now extends his lead. He's got 17 over Matthew Skoltz. Ty Scott gets a couple points back on Skoltz. He's now 41 back. Jake Lewis, Josh Hayes, and Blake Davis there in 6th place, 57 back. He scored 0 points. Kaylee Yakov with a good points haul for her as well. So, look, this is an 18-race championship. That's race number 5. There's still plenty of points left on the table. But the thing is, as we look at tomorrow, Jason, we look at the possibility of Kaylee Yakov getting a better start and then latching onto the back of that group. Now, Blake Davis did 2:17.345, which was a super fast lap. He did it on his last lap, and he crashed, picked the bike up, and he was 46 seconds back. But the key is for Blake and his team is he got all that data. He got all those laps in and finished on the lead lap.
That's one of the things we talk about a lot. When you crash out of race 1 and you're not able to restart, you lose anything. So you basically go into race 2 with the same setup you'd have had for race 1. The fact that he picked it up and the fact that he ran only 2/10 slower than the fastest lap of the race, probably pushing his own win most of the time, I think is going to be a bit encouraging. It's going to be frustrating for him because he's going to know that he had to pace. Blake's on the verge of, I think, winning a few races anyways. And that Strack Yamaha team has done a great job with both their riders. But they're going to be able to go back, make some changes that he might need. Just thankful that that bike didn't get damaged enough to where he was able to get those laps in.
And this racetrack is plenty wide. Obviously, it has a lot of real estate, 4 miles long. But it seems with Motovation Supersport machines that with those 4 or 5 people up front and potentially 6 tomorrow, that real estate runs out pretty quickly.
It does, yeah.
You think that they're going to know a little bit better with a lot of rubbing is racing, but they don't really want all that.
I love that Race Direction didn't really make any moves on any of those incidents because they were all incidents where guys are fighting for the same spot. And let's see some more of that tomorrow.
So Motovation Supersport race number 1 was certainly entertaining. And it's going to be another gorgeous day tomorrow here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. If you can't get out here and watch it, then do it again with us at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Motovation Supersport race number 2. It was a close one today, and it's going to be a lot closer tomorrow. We can't wait to see you then. For Hannah and Jason and our entire crew, I'm Greg White. See you for Motovation Supersport race number 2.